Today we're going to test Halloween candy. So what we've got here are some of the top picks for Halloween candy in the UK. We're going to be testing them against each other to figure out exactly what the best Halloween candy is. Also, a massive shout out to Good Mythical Morning who've done this test over in the US. And if they want me to, I'll send them a whole package with all of these so they can test it for themselves. So for our first head-to-head, we've got Harrybo and Skittles. So let's start on this side here with our Harrybo. There's the little Coke bottle. Let's give it a try. Let's try our Skittles for a slightly different chewy consistency. Place them there. We'll have two. So a really strong flavour of orange as well, but disappears quite quickly. The Harrybo lasts around for a little bit in your mouth. It helps to think if I could only have one of these for the rest of my life, which would it be? And I think the answer is going to have to be the Harrybo. So they move on to the next round. We've got a Twix versus Maltesers because they both got that sort of biscuity middle. Let's get into this bar here. And see, it's the little Twix bar. Okay. It's like 50-50 caramel with Twix, with biscuit. It's very slightly savoury, which I like. And it's probably quite a nice break with all the other sweets you're going to be having on Halloween. Now let's get into our Maltesers. Obviously, it's a malted ball of chocolate. Or chocolate malted ball, or you can see it's very aerated. I like Maltesers, very crunchy. Bearing in mind it's Halloween candy, I feel like these sorts of smaller pieces are slightly nicer as Halloween candies go. So we're going to be picking the Maltesers to move on to our next round. So next in we've got Love Hearts and Parma Violets. This always splits audiences. Either someone loves these or people hate them. With that, let's try our Love Hearts first because this is universally liked. And then we can get onto our Parma Violets. Let's have a look what we've got. So it says smile, but the S is not painted in, so it just says mile, like the distance, I guess. So let's try this. Oh, I love how it fizzes up in your mouth. Right, let's try our Parma Violets. I always forget what this tastes like until I have them, and then I remember that either I'm a massive fan or I hate it. I can't remember that either, so let's try this. So there you go. Damn, it always tastes like soap. This literally tastes like I'm eating sweet soap. As far as my personal feelings go, just because I can't get over the sort of soap tasting nature of that, I think I'm going to have to pick the Love Hearts because I like how it fizzes up and the citric acid was actually quite nice. So we'll put that into the next round. Moving on, we've got a Fudge and a Curly Whirly. So let's give the Fudge a try. Obviously, both of these have slightly different interiors, but it's a similar sort of sugar base. So let's give this a little bite. So I think obviously it's fudge. I wonder what's in this bar called Fudge. Is it ants? Yeah, so it's fudge. It's honestly quite nice. Nothing bad about that at all. Nothing's like particularly special though. Right, let's try Curly Whirly. So these are really interesting. You see it's got this sort of very unique shape. So let's try it. This one is the perfect temperature. When it's too cold, they snap. With a strong emphasis on uniqueness and sort of how long it lasts, because I guess if you didn't get a lot of candy, maybe you want your candy that you do have to last as long as possible. I'm going to pick the Curly Whirly because the fudge sort of just disappears quite quickly. Even though it's quite satisfying, I feel like this is more of a parent's favourite and the Curly Whirly is going to have to move on. Sherbet Lolly versus a Drumstick. So let's get open our Sherbet Lolly here. This is usually what's left in my Halloween collection of sweets at the end because I just feel the least strong about it, whether I hate it or love it. It's very meh to me, but we'll give it a try anyway. Yeah, this is a bit like a treat after the main course of all the other sweets. Right, let's try our Drumstick. This is a major classic here in the UK. I think it goes back quite some time in terms of the age of this lolly. Basically a taffy for you Americans on a stick. So let's give it a try. So it's chewy. You can see it's got teeth marks from me. But it basically gets so stuck in your teeth. Obviously, if you're patient and you eat this like a normal lolly, you'll probably be all right. We need to pick one of these to move forward. I think just based on the fact that the flavour is a fair bit stronger and I just like it overall as a lolly. We're going to pick the Drumstick. That will move forward into our next round. So as a bonus, since we needed one more for our next round anyway, we've got apple versus pear for a healthy option. So let's give the apple a try. There you go. Very refreshing. Tastes like an apple in all honesty. Let's try our pear. You can see, there's a pear. They're both pretty good, to be honest. I've got to say, I like the crunch of the apple. This is quite a soft pear, which I won't hold against it because I know there are pears that are crunchy. In this circumstance, and considering the shape, I feel like this fits better in your Halloween bucket or bag or whatever you're carrying your sweets in. So for now, the apple is moving on to our next round. So on to our second round, we're going to test our winners against each other. So starting again with our Malteser. Okay. Classic. Pretty good. Let's try a Curly Whirly again. This is a battle of the ages. We've got crunch versus chew. So it really depends on which one you prefer out of those. Even though that is satisfying, I think for Halloween night, I prefer something like that. This is like a good little daytime chocolate, but I feel like a Curly Whirly is a nighttime chocolate. I don't know if that makes any sense, but that's the vibe I'm going for. Curly Whirly is going to move on to our next round. Sorry, Maltesers. So next up, we've got a Love Hearts versus a Harrybo. So let's open this one. What did we get this time? Ever yours. That's sweet. Oh, I love the fizzy. But disappears quickly, which was the problem we had with the Skittles versus the Harribos. Right, let's try. Ah, that's cute. We'll try a little heart from our Harrybo. Again, it's so strong, the Harrybo, as a sweet. And those little hearts have a slightly marshmallow texture and a much stronger texture on top. So it's nice. It's got that sort of textural thing going on. That being said, from this, I think we're going to have to stick with the Harribos. Again, I really like these as sweets, to be honest. And the Love Hearts was really going to have to do something exceptional, which it does. The fizz is cool, but it doesn't quite beat the Harribos. So that's moving on to our next round. And sorry, Harrybo. So for our final round here, we've got apple versus drumstick. So let's try our apple again. You can see there's a bite from earlier. Very sweet, quite refreshing. Right, let's try a drumstick. The texture of a drumstick is basically the opposite of an apple. Incredibly chewy and tough. I don't think I've ever heard anyone say a drumstick a day keeps the doctor away, but it's still a very good candy. Sweet. I know I'm going to get comments on this video. It's not candy, it's sweets. Let me know what you call sweets or candy in the comment section. That being said, we need to make a choice here between drumstick and apples. This is harder than you think it might be. Now, depending on what you're into, you're either going to really love apples or you're going to really love drumsticks. Right, it'd be quite the upset if I send the apple through competing in our final round. Our final round on a Halloween taste test is going to be an apple with 2 other sweets. Even though drumstick is good, but I like the idea of the apple being in our final round, and it is good. I feel like as an option for Halloween, this is a good option, even though I know most of you are probably not going to want an apple for Halloween. That being said, I feel like it fits in our final round, so the apple goes through. Yeah, so sorry, drumstick, you're not going through to the final. So for our final round, we've got an apple versus Harrybo versus a Curly Whirly to be crowned the top contender for UK Halloween candy. That being said, an apple is obviously not Halloween candy, but still gets put in your Halloween candy bucket, so it is here by virtue of reason. That being said, let's give the apple a try again. I don't know what it is. This is just a really good apple. Let's try Harrybo. We'll try the egg. We haven't tried that one yet today. There's our Harrybo egg, the final. Again, I really like the 2 textures. You've got the egg texture, but the whites of the egg and the yellow of the egg. Different textures. Solid stuff. Right, and let's try a Curly Whirly again here. There is our last bit of Curly Whirly. I'm not going to pick first, second, and third. I'm just going to pick the one I like the most out of these 3. And I have to say, the apple has done quite good tonight. And it is very refreshing. Maybe if you're eating all these sweets at the same time, you just sort of crave the refreshing taste of an apple. So there might be some fault in our testing. But with that, I do feel I'm leaning towards these Harrybo. Damn, it's hard. This is a hard choice. Because I do like the texture on the Curly Whirly as well, with the chocolate on the outside. At this point, I feel like the apple is just in the audience. So I think my choice has been made, and I'll give you the reasoning behind it now. So the choice I've made not only has a sort of good texture thing going on, but because it contains multiple different things that you can taste as a flavor, I'm going to pick the Curly Whirly as my choice, because not only does it contain the chocolate, but it also contains the caramel on the inside. So I think, forced to make a decision here, even though both of these options are actually strong. All our options today were strong. I think the Curly Whirly is going to have to be my top pick for UK Halloween candy. So with all that being said, comment what we should try next. Very cool. Yum, yum.